Stop for 1 second. This morning, one of the first things you did was put on clothes. It felt automatic, right? Like breathing, like drinking water. But here's what nobody tells you. 70,000 years ago, there were no clothes, no shirt, no shoes, no underwear, nothing. And then one day, one human picked up a dead animal's skin and wrapped it around their body. Why? Was it just the cold? Was it shame? Or was there something darker going on, something that textbooks completely skip over? Today, I'm going to tell you the real story of why humans started wearing clothes. And trust me, this is not a fashion history video. This is a survival story, a psychology story, and it involves a discovery so bizarre that it genuinely shocked scientists. Stay with me, because the next 12 minutes will change how you think about something you do every single day. Let's start with a basic question. Chimpanzees have fur. Gorillas have fur. Every one of our closest animal relatives has natural body hair for insulation. So why don't we? This is where the story begins. Around 3 million years ago, when our ancestors moved out of dense jungles and into open African grasslands, a new problem hit them hard. The sun. Brutal, relentless, African sun. Scientists believe this is when our bodies gradually started losing body hair, because thick hair traps heat, and in the African savanna, overheating was deadly. So our bodies made a trade-off. Instead of hair, we developed millions of sweat glands. We became the best long-distance runners on the planet. Our ancestors could chase a deer for 6 hours straight until the animal collapsed from exhaustion. This hunting strategy even has a name, persistence hunting. But this trade-off created a new problem. Nights got cold, even in Africa. And when humans started migrating north, into Europe, into Central Asia, the temperatures were extreme. Surviving naked in -10 degrees? Impossible. So what was the solution? Here's something that will genuinely blow your mind. Scientists figured out the exact age of clothing using a louse. Yes, a body louse, a tiny parasitic insect. Here's why this matters. Body lice live specifically in clothing fibers, not directly on skin. So scientists compared the DNA of body lice and head lice to find out when these two species diverged from each other. The answer? Approximately 170,000 years ago, a tiny bug told us exactly when humans started wearing clothes. This lines up perfectly with a period called the African Ice Age, when temperatures dropped dramatically and survival without covering became nearly impossible. But here's the twist that nobody talks about. Humans started wearing clothes 170,000 years ago, but the first needle, the first evidence of actual sewing, only appears 61,000 years ago, found in South Africa. Think about what that means. For over 100,000 years, humans wore clothes with zero sewing, just animal skins, wrapped, tied, draped over the body. 100,000 years passed before someone thought to punch a hole in leather and thread something through it. That's how hard innovation actually is. Now here's where the story gets really interesting. If clothes were purely about surviving cold, then why did humans in warm African regions wear them too? Because they did. The evidence is there. So cold was only one reason. The real reasons go much deeper. Reason number 1, protection from insects. Africa was full of mosquitoes, ticks, and biting flies, all carrying deadly diseases, malaria, sleeping sickness. Covering your skin was a literal physical barrier against infection. Clothing wasn't just warmth, it was armor. Reason number 2, social signaling. This one is the most overlooked reason in mainstream history. The moment humans started decorating their clothing, painting it, attaching shells, carving patterns into leather, something completely new emerged. Identity. Who you are started to become visible from the outside. Anthropologists connect decorated clothing directly to symbolic thinking, the same cognitive leap that produced cave paintings, music, and ritual ceremonies. Clothing wasn't just covering, it was communication. Reason number 3, and this one is going to disturb you. Some researchers argue that one of the earliest functions of clothing was pure dominance display. Wearing the skin of a rare or dangerous animal sent one message: I killed this. Strength. Power. Status. Now look at today. The animal skin got replaced by Gucci, by Supreme, by Rolex. The psychology hasn't changed in 170,000 years. Only the labels did. Now here's a chapter that changes everything. We weren't alone. Neanderthals, our closest extinct cousins, lived across Europe and Central Asia during the Ice Age. Extreme cold, brutal conditions. Did they have clothes too? Yes. A 2020 study found eagle talons and vulture feathers at Neanderthal sites, carefully removed and arranged, not for food, for decoration, for ornamentation. Neanderthals wore clothes, and they made them beautiful. But here's the critical difference. Evidence suggests that Homo sapiens, us, created far more fitted, tailored clothing. Using needles, we made body-hugging garments that were dramatically more effective at trapping heat, and some scientists argue that this was one of the deciding factors. Homo sapiens survived the Ice Age. Neanderthals didn't. Better clothes meant better survival. Better survival meant we won the evolutionary race. A needle changed the entire course of human history. Now we get to the deepest part of this story. When humans started wearing clothes regularly, something fundamental shifted in our psychology. Nudity became taboo. This wasn't automatic. This wasn't instinct. This was a learned behavior that developed gradually as clothing became the cultural norm across human societies. Psychologists today call this enclothed cognition. The idea that what you wear directly changes how you think and feel. Experiments have proven this. People who put on a white lab coat performed significantly better on attention tests, but only when told it was a doctor's coat. The same coat labeled as a painter's coat. No effect. The clothes don't just change how others see you. They change how you see yourself. And this psychological mechanism, it started 170,000 years ago. The moment the first human wrapped an animal skin around their body and felt something different, felt protected, felt powerful, felt like someone. Clothing was humanity's first canvas, first language, first status update. Look at me. This is who I am. Here's something that almost never gets talked about. Clothing wasn't just fabric, it was the most sophisticated technology of its time. Think about what it actually took to make clothes 50,000 years ago. First, you had to hunt the animal, which itself required weapons, strategy, teamwork. Then you had to skin it carefully without damaging the hide. Then you had to cure the leather, scrape it, treat it with animal fat or brain matter to make it soft and flexible. This process alone could take days. Then, you had to cut it, shape it, and eventually sew it, using a needle made from bone and thread made from animal tendons or plant fibers. Every single piece of clothing was a multi-day engineering project. And here's what makes this insane. The oldest known needle ever found is 61,000 years old, found in Sibudu Cave, South Africa. It's made from bird bone. It's 8 centimeters long, and it still has the eye, the tiny hole for threading, perfectly intact. Scientists who examined it said the level of precision required to carve that needle was extraordinary. The person who made it was not primitive. They were a skilled craftsman. That needle is sitting in a museum right now, 61,000 years old, and it still works. Let that sink in. Fast forward to about 27,000 years ago. Something massive happened. Humans in what is now the Czech Republic and Russia started making woven fabric. Not leather. Not draped skins, actual woven textile, interlaced plant fibers pulled into cloth. This was a revolution. Because woven fabric meant you could make clothing in any shape, any size, any thickness. You could layer it. You could trade it. Clothing went from survival tool to economic commodity almost overnight. And with that shift, inequality entered the picture in a brand new way. Who had the finest cloth? Who had the rarest animal skin? Who wore shells from a coastline 500 miles away? Status. Hierarchy. Power. Sound familiar? The fashion industry today, worth over $1.7 trillion, is just the modern version of the same game that started in the Czech Republic 27,000 years ago. Nothing is new under the sun, or under the fur coat. I want to leave you with one fact. One fact that puts all of this into perspective. Modern humans, Homo sapiens, have existed for roughly 300,000 years. We started wearing clothes about 170,000 years ago. We started sewing them 61,000 years ago. We started weaving fabric 27,000 years ago. But here's the number that hits different. The entire recorded history of human civilization, Egypt, Rome, Greece, everything you learned in school, is only about 5,000 years old. That means for 165,000 years before any pyramid was built, before any empire rose or fell, before any written word existed, humans were already wearing clothes, already decorating them, already using them to say, "This is who I am." We think of ancient humans as primitive, as simple, as just trying to survive. But they were doing exactly what you did this morning when you got dressed. Choosing who to be. That's not primitive. That's profoundly, deeply human. If this video made you think differently about something you do every single day, hit like. It genuinely helps the channel. And if you want more videos about the hidden history of everyday human things, subscribe, because that's exactly what we do here. See you in the next one.